All right, and it is 10 a.m. by my clock. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Flipgrid webinar. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your no doubt busy schedules to attend this webinar and learn about a wonderful new tool. Just so I can double check and make sure that everyone can hear me, either give me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat. Can you hear me? Wonderful. So in case you haven't noticed it, we have a lot of people in this meeting today. We're pretty much going to capacity. So just make sure that if you are in the chat and you are wanting to interact with other people, that we keep the conversation to Flipgrid today. You will be able to ask questions in the chat, and either myself or Diana will be able to answer it, but we're just making sure that it's not flooded today and we're not making everybody go crazy in the chat room. So you are in our Flipgrid webinar. Again, Diana will be sending out that link for attendance. If you didn't get it already, it's okay. It will be posted throughout this meeting and at least once more before we end today. Just as an introduction, my name is Amber Youngman. I teach English at Johansen High School, and I've been using technology in my classroom pretty much since I became a teacher 7 years ago. My classroom is 95% digital assignments, and I teach honors and I also teach ALD. So I have kind of the overachieving students and the students who need just a little bit more support. And I've used Flipgrid in both classes, in all classes, and it's been amazing. I'm going to go ahead and let Diana introduce herself, and then we'll get started with this meeting. Diana?
Morning, everyone. My name is Diana Gonzalez. I am a Spanish teacher at Gregory High School, and I am also about 95% digital. I use Flipgrid with my Spanish students, and they are beginning Spanish speakers. I use it for all of my classes as well, and I use technology 95% of the time as well. The other 5% will leave it to when the network is down. Thank you all for being here, and let's get started.
Wonderful. Thank you, Diana. So just to kind of take care of some business before we get started, a lot of questions in the comments are always going to be, will you have access to this presentation? The answer is, of course, yes. I will make sure that you get this presentation within 24 hours of this webinar. You'll be able to find it in this chat room, so don't delete this chat until at least 24 hours after. I'm also going to be uploading some files for you today that I'm going to be using to talk about, and we'll go ahead and get started. So first of all, some of you may have never used Flipgrid at all. And so I wanted to just take a moment to explain what is Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a platform that lets students interact with their teachers in video and audio format. Teachers will assign a topic for their students to respond to, and students are able to make quick videos that answer a question. They are compiled on a grid. And so consider each grid like a bulletin board for your class, and then topics are different assignments within it. That's why it's called Flipgrid. Videos are meant to be short and sweet, but they actually just recently extended their video time, no doubt due to the COVID-19 crisis that we're going through right now. So your videos for your students can range between 30 seconds to 10 minutes now. It used to only be up to 5 minutes and 3 minutes and a minute and a half. Videos can absolutely be recorded from any device that has a camera and internet access. So your students will be able to use their tablets or any other laptop devices that they have. And they can also film from their phone, which I know a lot of people actually prefer. They're able to manipulate the camera angle a little bit more. And they're so used to apps like TikTok and different things like that. So a lot of students find it easier to just have the app on their phone. For those of you just joining us, if you don't currently have the Flipgrid app on your smartphone, I highly recommend downloading it. So once a student responds to a topic that a teacher gives, Students can respond to other peers. So it is a response format too, and they can create video responses. They could like other videos. And so you can really have a whole digital discussion online with your students responding and talking to one another in video form. And the best part of it is students don't necessarily have to upload anything. It's very intuitive. They just submit their responses directly in the topic and they are done. So it is accessible through Schoology, but it's more of you provide the link to Flipgrid through Schoology. And we're going to talk about why that is a little bit later on in this discussion. So Diana is going to tell you how to access Flipgrid. You do not necessarily have to do this right now. Again, you're going to have access to this presentation later on. If you want to be practicing while we're going through, that's fine, but you're going to have a chance to get on Flipgrid at the end of this lesson. So Diana, tell them how to access Flipgrid.
Hi everyone, Diana Gonzalez here again. First of all, if you want to follow me along, you can go for it, but also just to remind you that you're going to have access to this whole presentation after we are done, so you can do it at your own pace as well. So the first thing that you would do, Flipgrid was recently purchased by Microsoft, which incorporates Grade with Schoology and Google. You would have to go to flipgrid.com. And then you're going to click on the educator login. It's going to look something like, the little circle that I have in there. And then you're going to click on sign in with your Google and enter your MCS credentials. That is your email as well as the password that you need to enter the computer. And then if you have never used Flipgrid before, you're going to have to click on the educator sign up first and then go through the process, again, using your MCS credentials. Amber, next slide, please. So this is how you create a grid. So once you go to Flipgrid, you sign in or sign up, with your credentials, you are going to want to create a grid. And I want you to think of a grid the way that you would think of a class. So for example, and we're going to show you how that looks. I create grids specifically for classes. So I create one grid for Period 1, Spanish 2. I create another grid for Period 2, Spanish 2. So one specifically per class. The reason why I do that is because, number one, it creates, when I create a topic or an assignment, everything is going to stay very organized, as well as the data that you can download for grading purposes. Oh, I am so sorry. I'm going too fast. I'm excited, actually. Okay, so the reason why I create a grid per class is so that my information stays organized, and then the responses from my students as well stay organized. So first of all, you're going to create a grid. You're going to click on the add a new grid, and then you're going to name your grid. This is where you should put the name of the class or the period. Like I said, for example, Spanish 1, Period 2, or something like that. And then you go and create another one for the next class. You're gonna select the grid type. I recommend using the Schoology, the school email. That is number 2. The reason why we recommend to use school email is because only students who log in with their MCS credentials or email are going to be able to record a response. That way they're going to be identified, and their response is going to be linked to their actual account as a student. So I recommend that you do that. It's going to also ask you for a domain because you are using the school email. So that one is going to be the @monet.k12.ca.us. Number 3 on the screen is where you create a Flipgrid. This is optional because Flipgrid is going to give you one code, like a generic one, but if you want to change it to something that you would remember so you can share it easily, then you can do that. So if it is available, for example, my Period 4, I decided to name it Gonzalez P4 so that I know that it is for my Period 4 Flipgrids. Amber, next slide,
Wonderful.
please.
So Diana, I'm just going to pop in here. We just did have a question that what if they don't have access because they are in elementary school, including first grade. In that sense, then I would make it public and PLC, and then just make sure that the link that you send out is only available for those students. So that way the public is not actually looking at the grid. And if this is where we both teach high school, so we've never really entered into that problem. And so forgive me if I'm not going to give you the information that you want to give on that. I'm not aware whether or not your students actually have email and if that communication can be communicated to your students. So right now we're just really trying to show you how to use this. And then if you have any other further questions about how to actually implement this later on, hopefully we can touch on that at the end of the lesson. Let me change the slide for you. There you go. And so once you create a grid, you're going to create a topic in Flipgrid. And so think of these like individual assignments. And so you can actually share just the topic out through a link, and we're going to show you how to do that later. Again, that offers just a little bit more safety for your students, and you're able to implement outside sources like Schoology just a little bit easier. And so again, we're just going through this very quickly, and we're going to give you an opportunity to play around in Flipgrid today. But to create a new topic in your grid, it's very intuitive. You're going to see a bright orange red button that says add new topic. And you're going to think of a topic title. And I'm going to have some ideas for you later on of different types of assignments you can do with all different grade levels and all different subjects. Here you can also set your recording time, 30 seconds again, up to 10 minutes. I normally start off with a 3-minute video depending on what the topic is. But if you have a complex topic that you think is going to take a while, of course, you can maximize your time. And then there is a portion where you can communicate your prompt, which is basically what is the question that you are asking your students to respond to. You are limited to 500 characters here, so if you need more, we're going to talk about some other options and resources that you can add to the topic. So this could be a focus, or this could be an additional resource. Flipgrid lets you do a lot of different things, and it could seem overwhelming at first, so if you wanted to just stick to the basics, you could. You could record a video of yourself further explaining the prompt, or even giving a model for your students and answering the prompt for yourself. Or you can simply add an image, or a GIF is pretty popular, to attach it to the topic, and it's going to appear next to the prompt when our students see it. So for example, I've offered you a little idea here. You'll see the topic. I had my students do an autobiographical narrative. You can see that right now this topic is moderated, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. There's a flip code for students. You can add topic guests. I have a prompt there. Read your autobiographical narrative about a difficult choice you made and submit it here. And because this is moderated, I was the only one who was able to see this. I didn't want them interacting with each other. I just wanted to hear them read. And then you can also add topic tips and other resources. My tip for this one was to breathe, speak slowly, and to use emotion. So whatever focus you add is just going to appear right next to the topic itself. And then Diana's going to tell you about some other really cool things that you can add on to the topic.
So some of the important settings that I want to share with you, this is, Amber was just talking about the moderation of the actual topic. This is if you decide that you don't want any other students to see the responses, you get to pick if you want that shown or if you don't want that shown. In my personal experience with high school students, I have to test the waters first. And I want to make sure that they're going to be responsible with, the responses first as well. Some of them, I don't require them to interact with each other because they're just assignments, they're reading something or they're practicing a skill. But when I have, response topics, or what do you think about this painting, or what did you, what's your perception about Frida Kahlo, or something like that, then that's when I would want for them to interact with each other. So number one, on your topic, once you're creating a topic, this is the way that I see it. It's an assignment. You're going to click on more options. You're going to go to the bottom, and then you're going to see that you don't have any more options. You click on that, and then a set of options is going to display. So the number one option that I want to talk to you is the video moderation. If you turn it on, means that it is toggled green, then the videos, the students are not going to be able to see each other's responses, and that's going to be only for you to see. So that is, like I said, a good idea to do it on the first couple of tries, but that is entirely up to you. Number two, it is the status. That is, if you decide to schedule, active means that their students can record the topic as soon as they click on the link. That means that the link is the topic is active. If you decide to, you have the options to do active, and then also to have it frozen, so students are not going to be able to record responses. And then also you get to select launch and freeze days. If you select that, that means that you have the topic open only for a certain period of time. Amber, can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so number three, this is where you allow students, students to student reply. If you have the moderation on, then this option is not going to be allowed for you. If you have the students interacting with each other and you don't have the topic moderated, then they're going to be able to click on a response, and then also interact with the students are going to be able to interact with each other. The launch and the freeze days dates, I really like this one because I'm very specific with my late work policy. So this means that the students know that a topic is coming, and I would do, for example, I want it open from today until Friday, and then Friday the topic is going to disable itself, meaning it's going to freeze, so I don't have to come back and do it manually because I already have a specific time frame. And then if the students click on it on the link Saturday morning, then it's going to say there's nothing or something like that. It's going to tell them, the topic is frozen. Make sure that you let your teacher know. But my students know that, at that point they are late and the topic has, it's been gone. So for me, option number 4, I really like it because, like I said, I don't have to come back and do it manually.
Yes, we did have a couple of questions, Diana, just before we move on. Estefania asked, what is the advantage of Flipgrid compared to the video options that students have in Schoology? And you're absolutely right. Schoology does have a video audio component as well. And so if you were just wanting to really just see a student respond to a topic, that's fine. Schoology would work just as well for this. If you wanted students to respond to each other, though, Flipgrid really is the way to go because you're able to do video responses to other videos, and you're not allowed to do that in Schoology as far as I know. And also, yes, the time of the recording, and I don't know about you, I've used the video component in Schoology before, and it was always very glitchy for my students. It could have changed since the last time I've used it. Plus, I don't know, Flipgrid, it looks nicer. It's a little bit more intuitive, and it really does allow for a community to respond to one another. Another question that we had was, can you combine 2 classes by giving them the same code? Absolutely, yes, you can. We're going to go ahead and change to the next slide.
Some other important settings that I that I want to share with you is also, this is, you know, all the settings here are very self-explanatory, and they even have a little narrative underneath it. And this is entirely up to you. You know, this is if you want to allow selfies and videos, meaning they can record a little video on the response, like, oh, this is, you know, such and such, and this is my response, or they can just take a selfie and then submit it. What I really like about Flipgrid as well is that it has filters, and you know, they can do hats and mustache and all of that, so it's pretty cool. The video title, this is if you want the students to change the title of their response. The video count, this is if you want the students to see how many views the you know, each video or each response has received. I usually turn this off and I tell them, you know, this is not YouTube, so you don't need to know all that. Sticky notes as well, if you want them to write a little sticky. Video editing, all of that, like I said, is just pretty self-explanatory, and it is entirely up to you.
Yes, and I will say this, with the selfies, you really do need to convey your expectations to your students and make sure that they understand that everything does need to be classroom appropriate. And sometimes accidents happen. I did have a situation my second year using Flipgrid where one of my students, they did a group video. One of them threw up the peace sign, which is very nice in their picture. And then they ended up adding a sticker that blocked one of their fingers. And so it looked like they were flipping me off. And I know these students, they were horrified. They didn't mean to do it, but it accidentally posted, and they didn't realize until they posted it. And they cannot delete these pictures once they're posted. Only you as the admin have access to delete videos and delete pictures. And so unfortunately, I had to delete their assignment, and they had to video record it so that that inappropriate picture was not on my grid. So keep that in mind, that your students know what your expectations are. Let me get here. Okay. And then Diana.
Sorry, I was responding to questions on the chat. So this is how I share my Flipgrids into Schoology, because Schoology is my main hub where everything, you know, for my classes go. So there are a few ways that you can share grids and topics in Schoology. One of the most efficient ways for me is to share a link in the Schoology assignment. That way I will create an assignment and I tell them, hola chicos, you know, this is what you're gonna have to do, pages such and such, all of the guidelines, and then this is the link to record your response. So they click on the link, they're taken to Schoology, I'm sorry, to Flipgrid out of Schoology, and then they record the responses right there. After you create an assignment, you're gonna have the little share button with you know, it looks like the one that I have on the screen, and then that one is gonna give you a couple of options as far as sharing your topic. You can embed it, you can copy the link, and then there's a couple of other options. I've had a couple of problems with the embedding of the code or the link with Schoology, because originally I wanted my students to never leave Schoology and just stay there, and then that way, you know, when they open the topic, it would open in Schoology, but it was giving me a little bit of trouble in the past, so I decided to just link it. They click on it and then they go automatically to the topic. In Schoology, in the Schoology assignment, you paste the link with any other instructions or resources that you have for your students. And then this is an example of how one of my assignments actually look. Amber, can you go to the next slide, please? So this is what I have, you know, using Schoology, please read in Spanish, fondos culturales on the following pages. And then I have the pages, and then I tell them how to access, you know, Flipgrid. They click on the link, and then, you know, it tells them if the grid is locked or something, you know, it's just telling you that it is locked, you're going to have to sign in with your student ID. in order for you to have access to that. You will not be able to record using the big green plus sign button. You know, when they click on that button, then the camera is going to pop up and then they're going to start, you know, they press record, they do their recording, and then they submit their responses. You know, I tell them how many minutes they have to record all the paragraphs. And this is, like I said, this is, my students are reading to me in Spanish. And then I tell them, you know, what I'm going to be grading on. But if you see one of the first things that you are going to see there is going to be the link to the actual recording or the assignment. Amber, can you go to the next slide, please? Okay.
Wonderful. So I wanted to share just one more way that you can share Flipgrid, and you're going to see this in just a little bit when we go to Flipgrid ourselves, but it does give you the option to share a QR code. I know that QR codes are becoming more popular as we move throughout this digital age. And so if you have a phone, you're able to simply scan the QR code in the Flipgrid app, and it will take you directly to the screen where you need to record. So again, this is a lot easier for maybe some of the younger grades. As a scavenger hunt in normal classes. And they are still going to, yes, need to sign in with their Google account. Flipgrid does, I will say this one thing is that they really do make sure that you log in with your Google several times. I think it asks sometimes twice to log in. And so, yes, this might be a little bit difficult for some of the younger ages. And right now, I'm not sure of a workaround because, again, I've not had to deal with that myself personally. And so I do apologize. But we'll see. We can keep thinking how to get around that if this is something that you are passionate about using. So QR codes are another way to embed this. And I wanted to show you this from the student view. And some of you are going to be doing this for me in just a moment. So I wanted to show you what you are able to do once you are recording on a Flipgrid or once your students are recording on a Flipgrid. If you look at the screen I've given, right underneath number 1 is, of course, the record button. And it will give your students a countdown of a 3, 2, 1, and then it will start recording so they can fix their hair if they need to fix their hair. The second option are the little 3 dots next to the record button. And this is kind of a really cool and slick thing that Flipgrid just released recently, is that you could also record your screen on the computer. So you could even do a little mini lesson through Flipgrid and record a lesson or have something annotated and different things like that. This is in the beta mode right now, so they're still testing it. And I have not used this one myself, to be honest, but I think it's really great that they added that option. You can add a video clip to something that has already been recorded, or you could simply just add audio too. And again, you would click on the record button. You do have the option to use your front-facing camera or your rear-facing camera. Right underneath the number 3 is the little circular button that lets you switch which way your camera is directed. One thing that's really great too is if your students really wanted to practice, they do have the option to record a video on their phone without even being in Flipgrid and then upload that video into Flipgrid already completed. So they don't have to record using Flipgrid if they don't want to. Number 6 up at the top, it just shows and displays the time limit for that video. This video was set for 3 minutes. And what's really cool, and you'll be able to see, and I'll show you once we're in there, is students can click on the little book button to see what the topic is in its entirety. It'll pop up in a little window and they can see the question that they're supposed to be answering. And number 8 is my personal favorite feature, which is the sticky notes function. It will pop up a little post-it note that students can type on, and there's no limit to the length of these notes, and they can make little bullet points to themselves of things to remember while they're recording. And then what I like to tell my students to do is actually move that sticky note in front of their face, so that way they're not focused on their own face while they're recording, and they can read the notes without looking like they're reading the notes. It just looks a little bit more natural. And I always tell my students to go in with a plan. And so if they type a few notes out to themselves before they start recording, it's really awesome for them to do. Once they're done recording, they'll click on the next feature and it will take them to where they record a selfie. This is an option that I don't think that you can get rid of. This is kind of going to be the thumbnail of their video. So they give a little selfie. You could tell them to leave it blank and just have stickers. There's a myriad of different things that they can do on the bottom of this. If you notice, they can put stickers, emojis, they can draw, they can put text on it. It could be a whiteboard if you wanted it. So there's a lot of different options, and you can limit this as well in your topic options. And then they put a title if they want to, and they submit, and it will tell them to not leave that window or Flipgrid until it's done submitting. Of course, the longer the video, the longer it's going to take to submit because it takes a while to render. But for like a 30-second video, it's like a 30-second wait time or less. And then I wanted to talk about this feature, which is not found in the Schoology audio video functions, and that is responding to a Flipgrid video. Now, you could use this in PD if you wanted to for professional development and respond to other teachers. You can use this with your kids. Pretty much your imagination lets you know what you can do with this tool. But when you're watching a video, you'll be able to see, once you're viewing a video, a respond button. It looks like two little speech bubbles in a circle of green at the bottom of the video. And this is one thing that I will say Flipgrid kind of dropped the ball on. You cannot respond to a video, even really as a teacher, in messaging format. It has to be in video format. So students respond to each other with their own videos, but they can't write a comment and say, hey, this is a great job, yada, yada, yada. They do have to record another video in order to respond. As of right now, that feature has not changed. So yeah, Flipgrid really wants video responses. So keep that in mind. I'm going to share a resource with you, and it's a link to basically Flipgrid's blog, which has so many different types of ideas for different for different grade levels and different subjects from pre-K all the way through college. For every subject imaginable. I've put some up here so you can kind of get some ideas. The first one we have is for fourth grade narrative poetry, and this teacher is asking their students to recite a narrative poem that they wrote about things that you love to do, and they gave them 1 minute and 30 seconds. So their students would record that, and the teacher could respond in video form. Other students could respond if the teacher allowed that. So that's a really cool idea for students to do. This next one was for a drama class, a high school drama class called Hotspot. And it is one person begins to sing a song. And so this is definitely a collaborative board because you have to look at the topic before one person starts to sing a song and the next person does it. This one might be better during a live class when we're back in school. But again, just the topic there. And even math could use this. They have pancake ratios here. A pancake recipe uses 3 cups of flour and 2 cups of milk. If the number of cups is increased, they have to actually explain their thought process in a video form instead of written form. So for your EL students, for those who struggle with their writing, this could be a great alternate form of that. I'm going to talk about some best practices. Again, Diana and myself have used Flipgrid frequently in our classrooms, and we've kind of learned some good guidelines to have while doing this with students, especially high school students with ours. And the first is to be absolutely very clear in your instructions and to post guidelines for your students for what appropriate behavior looks like in a recording. This is just an example of my guidelines for my students, and I'm going to give you access to this. It's a Google Doc that I have, and you can change it, modify it, do whatever you want to. This is just my individual guidelines. I do have group posting guidelines as well. And of course, these are just good general practices to have. The first is to plan before you record. I always tell my students, don't do this on the fly because you're going to get nervous. You're going to trip over your words, and it's not going to make for a good response. So to have a plan is the best thing you can do. And some of these things might sound familiar as we're entering into our own webinars right now. I always tell my students to make sure that their camera angle, lighting, and volume are all sufficient, because a student might post a video, and if I can't hear them, they're going to get a 0 on that assignment until they re-record it. I always tell them, please make sure there's nothing distracting or inappropriate in your background. I had a student try to post a video where her head was wrapped in a towel because she just got out of the shower. She was clothed, thankfully. But I was just like, that's not professional. I need you to re-record this and to make sure that, you look like you would in class. Make sure that, there's nothing crazy or inappropriate posters or words or siblings maybe in your background that's going to distract you. Something I always need to learn for myself is to speak clearly, slowly, and thoughtfully. And I always remind my students to do this as well. And that they make sure that they're maintaining a professional space. Everything needs to be school and classroom appropriate, including your language, pictures, and any content. And I go over this with them over and over and over again, so that way they can't say that they didn't know. And again, if you don't trust your students, make sure you moderate first. One other thing I really like to do, especially if the topic is really complex, I teach an honors class, and sometimes our videos are a little bit longer because they're holding a discussion. They need to find textual evidence to prove a point. I give them a planning guide to fill out as a brainstorm so they can refer to this in their video. So I have a prompt. I let them brainstorm points that they want to make. I have them outline what their video is going to look like in terms of speaking points, and then they have their textual evidence right there. I also have this as a Google Doc, and I'll be providing this to you so you can change this and use this for your own if you wish in our resources. This, as well as our presentation, will be provided to you within 24 hours of this webinar. Sorry, my voice is going out. I apologize. I've been talking a lot in the last few days. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, best practices before we get into Flipgrid ourselves, is start small, start easy, especially in this really unknown time. I have a lot of shy classes. They don't want their face displayed to other people. They don't want other people to look at them. And so for a shy class, I really start off small, and I do moderate to where only I can see it. And I'll look at a video, but I won't approve it. It's just for me. No other student can see what's going on, and that's worked out really well for me. Before we move on to the next part, are there any questions? I'm going to go ahead and display our next part. We're actually going to get onto Flipgrid ourselves. For those of you that have the Flipgrid app on your phone, you can scan a QR code directly into Flipgrid from there. Or if you don't have it on your smartphone and you just want to go to the website flipgrid.com, you can enter a flip code there, and I've provided the flip code for you. So we're all going to get on this, but I'm going to answer any questions that you can put in the chat if you wish to ask them now while we're getting set up. Okay, cool. It's looking like there's not that many yet questions. So I'm going to give us just a minute and make sure everyone can access this Flipgrid. You know what, Victor, I am not positive on that question yet of parent permissions for students under 13. I would assume so, but again, I'm not 100% positive. I'm sorry about that. Yes, and Janine, thank you for that suggestion to ask your admin. Of course, you don't want to get in trouble. I've not had an issue with Flipgrid, but maybe some of your admins are a little bit more cautious on that. So definitely look for it there. If you are able to see the Flipgrid and you actually can see the big green record button, don't record yet, but if you can see it, go ahead and either give me a thumbs up or a yes in the comments.
Really quickly, this is, I just wanted to share that this is what your students will see. You are acting as a student right now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Diana, for clarifying that. I'm going to go ahead and put the flip code text in our chat box, just in case you're a little bit behind. And then I'm going to switch to our student view so you can see what I'm talking about when it comes to that. Karina, can you not see the screen at all? If you can't, I would highly recommend exiting this conversation and coming back into it. Maybe there's just a glitch. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and post the flip code in the chat in case you missed it. And I'm going to go ahead and move my screen to the teacher view of Flipgrid right now so you can see it. Give me just a moment. There we go. So this is what I see as the teacher right now. I'm on my teacher dashboard and I can see all the grids that I have. I have 9 grids available right now. Flipgrid does this really cool thing where you can see how much engagement you've had. I've had a grand total of a week and 2 days of film time across my grids. So I'm going to go ahead and enter in to our webinar, and I'm going to view it as a student. And so this is what you should be seeing right now in some version. Okay, it's going to look a little differently if you're on your phone or not. So we are actually going to respond to our Flipgrids. I'm going to mute my mic in just a second, and I'm going to give us about 3 minutes to do this. But I wanted to show you some options of things that you had on here. So what you are going to do in just a second is you're going to make your own video introducing yourself and talking about your favorite tech tool. It's a short video. It can be under 30 seconds. I've provided a tip to speak clearly, and I also added those Flipgrid posting guidelines in a Google Doc. If I open that up, it would open up into another tab, and these guidelines will be available for you, but my students could view this before they recorded. When I'm ready to go, okay, and I'm ready to record, I would hit that big blue green button, and it's going to ask me to log in. Again, we have a lot of logins. Oh, and it's not going right now for some reason on mine. Let me try that again. Of course it's not. Let me try opening it up somewhere else. Of course, it's not working now. I'm going to go ahead and exit off of this, and I'm going to see if I can get back to it in another way. Hopefully, if you're able to log in, go ahead, log in, do it. Let's see if I can log in with Microsoft. I'm going to go ahead and just try a whole nother browser then. Oh, there it is. Sorry about this, guys. We're just trying to figure this out as we go along myself right now. Let's try it again.
Amber, I am in. I can take over if you want to. I'll share my screen.
Oh, there it goes. Of course it goes right now. Thank you though, Diana. I appreciate it. Wonderful. Okay, so you do get, hi guys, this is me right now. You do get the recording video. When you're ready, you're gonna go ahead and press record. I'm gonna show you just kind of what this looks like in just a second. Hi guys, this is Amber Youngman, and my favorite tech tool right now is Flipgrid because I like interacting with other people. Okay, you can redo this if you'd like. Again, I can click on the topic to see right here, or I can click on sticky notes and I can type and I can move this around wherever I want to. I'm going to go ahead and click next. It's going to show me a preview of my video, which is always awkward. You can go back and add more if you wish, or you can simply go to next. It's going to ask you to do selfie. You can add stickers, you can add emojis. I'm going to go ahead and add a sticker right here. I can change the size. I'm going to move it, and we are ready to go. And I'm going to go ahead and post mine. I like changing my display name to my teacher name, and I'm going to submit my video. And wonderful, I'm done. I can download my video, I can download my selfie, or I can choose to not have this if I didn't want my students to be able to do this. I'm gonna ask you, wonderful, Gloria already did, awesome. If you haven't yet already, take the next 3 minutes and go ahead and respond. I'm gonna go ahead and mute my mic and I'll come back in about 3 minutes.
Oh, everybody's looking so good this morning. I love all the responses.
I do as well. Look at your beautiful faces. Now, if you've already recorded a video, go ahead and see what it looks like to respond now to your peers. Go ahead and click on someone's video to watch. And if you really like it, go ahead and respond to them in video format as well. I'm going to give you another few minutes to do that. All right, everyone, I'm going to go ahead and kind of bring us back to our meeting so you can see my screen. If you did not have a chance to record, that's okay. You'll have plenty of time. This link will still be open if you wanted to mess around with it. And of course, you can always make your own Flipgrid as we're going on through. But what I wanted to show you on my end is how it looks now that we see who has some responses and who doesn't. I love all your beautiful faces right now. And for the most part, I hope that this was pretty intuitive for you. I know some of you were struggling to see where to post it, and you kind of just have to go through the motions. And without me being able to see your screen, I can't tell you what you're seeing. So we see over here in this corner, we see not only the video itself, but the little circle above it is who has responded to those videos. And so if I scroll down, I see what videos have responses on them and which ones don't, which I think is pretty awesome. And they are just showing up live as we're going on here. Before we end today, because we have a few minutes left and I'm going to take some time in a little bit to answer some questions, but I wanted to point out some things that I've put for us that you can have. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to our presentation. Excuse me just one moment. Okay, so we do have some resources available for us. In our chat feature, you're going to be able to click on chat after this is over, and you're going to be able to click then on files. I have put a PDF with links into this for you that not only links you to Flipgrid ideas, Flipgrid how-tos for those of you that were struggling. And I know we had to go fast. I cannot teach Flipgrid, I feel, in just an hour. There's so many different things that you can do. And I know a lot of you are feeling overwhelmed right now, and I completely understand that. So I've put some resources on this PDF for you so that you can peruse on your own time and really take some time and become familiar with this program before you use it with your students. And if you find out that maybe this isn't for you, my feelings aren't going to be hurt, so don't worry about it. I've also linked the Flipgrid guidelines that I use for my class. It's a Google Doc, so if you wanted to make a copy of that and edit it and change it for your own, you have my full permission to do so. And I've also put down that Flipgrid brainstorming sheet that I use with my students. That is a Google slide. So technically you could also assign that to your students as well right now using our Schoology Google integration, and they could type out their responses on a brainstorm page, or you just have them submit a video. It's all up to you and how you want to do this. So at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to kind of stick around and answer any questions that still need to be answered. And kind of let you play around with that. That file is actually already in there. If you wanted to go to our chat feature on the side and see that, that's available for your use right now. We are going to make sure that the attendance code and form is put at least one more time. So please don't leave until you do that form. And we're going to go ahead and look through some more questions. Thank you for joining us today. If you have questions, stick around. If not, thanks so much and have a wonderful day.
Remember, I'm in files and I don't see the files for this webinar.
Let me see if I can actually show you my screen as it is right now, because we were checking this morning and we saw it there, but of course we could all be very, very wrong because everything's been kind of going crazy. So when you go to your chat feature and you're going to see our webinar Flipgrid, when you click on that, you should be able to see files, and there's a PDF available for you right there. Do you see that?
No, not yet. Hold on just a second.
No problem.
Linda, if you don't see it, I can send it to you, but it is there. We checked this morning.
I'm looking and I don't see it either.
I'm also having a difficult time finding it.
Yeah, I also don't see it.
Okay, you know what? Then I'm just going to put it in our chat right now. And I'll see if I can follow up even with an email to all of you later on, so that we can do that then too.
Hello.
So I
Hi,
downloaded a
Amber.
video.
This is Elliot. How do
on my
you
phone,
exit
but I'm not
the
seeing it
meeting?
anywhere. Where does it go? It says downloaded.
I'm so sorry. I had two people talking to me at the same time. I'm so sorry. Can one of you go and ask your question again, please?
Yeah, I did it on my phone. I recorded a short little video, but I downloaded it and it said share, and I shared it to Flipgrid, but I'm not seeing it anywhere.
Without seeing your computer again, I'm not absolutely positive what you would be seeing right now. Anne, is this you?
No, it's Bev.
I'm sorry, Bev. You sound exactly like a teacher at my school.
Amber, she recorded it in her phone and downloaded it instead of submitting it.
I know,
Oh,
how
okay.
do I submit?
So back on Flipgrid, did you see any next option?
Yes, I push next.
And then what shows up now?
I have to go back, I guess. Right now, my video is just running over and over and over again. If I push the arrow to the right, I get take a selfie to submit your video.
Yes. Go ahead and
So I
click on
have
that.
I have to take a picture of myself before I can submit it?
Yes.
Okie dokie.
And you can even put your hand over your lens if you don't want your picture to show and make it black, and then just put a sticker on it. That's absolutely fine as well.
Okay, I'll just do this. It's good. It's
All right.
Hang on.
Hi, Amber. This is Elibet.
Hi, Elibet.
Just quick question. How do you leave the conversation? Because I've seen a lot of people when they're in the Teams, they
Yes.
say, their name left the conversation, and I haven't been able to figure that out. How do you leave a conversation on Teams?
So leaving the conversation is you have to actually be in that chat.
Okay.
And then if you hover over the chat, don't enter it, but hover over the chat topic, you'll see 3 dots to the side.
3 dots to the side on the left-hand side?
It should be on the right-hand side. You know what?
On the
Hold
right.
on. I'm seeing it right now, and I only see unread hide. You know, do I even know how to leave a conversation? I don't know if I do or not.
Okay.
Amber, I think you have to hang up first, and then you would have the option to leave the conversation after that.
Ah, yes, you do. Okay. Thank you, Diana. That's awesome. So once you leave this conversation, Elibet, if you don't want any more chats coming on this, you leave it, and then you will go. Let me show you the screen right now so you can see it.
Okay, because I keep getting conversations even after I leave. And
Yes.
So, okay.
So if you're in the chat,
continue to get the chats. You will continue
Yes.
to get the chats because they're kind of like a text message thread and everything.
Okay.
If anybody asks a question, you're gonna get the notifications.
Yes.
Okay.
So Elibet, if you look at my screen right now, you'll see on the side, I am not in this distance learning mentors right now. It's not a current meeting. It's a meeting that's past.
Right.
If I go to these little 3 dots, or if I right click anywhere on it,
Okay.
I have the option to leave.
Oh. Okay, okay. Okay, I see it now. Yes.
Wonderful.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
This
Are
was
there any
great, by
other
the way.
questions? I'm sorry?
This was great, by the way.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Beverly, I am able to see your video. You have a gorgeous dog.
Amber,
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yes, I heard my name.
this is Rebecca. On the chat, the only thing that I can come up with is that I had apparently a chat with my friend Sally. I don't know, but I don't see anything from the webinar in terms of chat. On my chat box.
I'm wondering once you leave our conversation if it'll show up, but you know what? I think I'm just going to follow up with an email for everyone just in case as well. We're all still learning this Teams feature right now, and some of us, myself included, are not very good at it.
It makes me feel a little bit better because it makes me feel like I'm going crazy and I can't figure it out. But
it's all good. We all just go with the flow. I'll follow up with an email, no problem, with all the resources that I talked about today.
okay, and then whatever form to give credit for whatever for the webinar. I don't know.
Oh, so you can't see in our chat the link?
No, I don't have, the only chat that I have is from my friend Sally. Like, it doesn't show up as the webinar chat at all. I can't find it. If I click on chat on the left, and I'm not even talking to my friend Sally, but she's just there, like she won't go away.
You know what?
I want to leave the Teams and then come back.
I think you have to leave the meeting. This is a glitch with Microsoft right now. If you can't see the chat, you have to leave the meeting and enter back in. We're still in it, so if you wanted to try that right now, you could, and we can repost that link for you.
Okay. So just log out of it completely and then log back in?
Yep.
Okay, I'll be right back then.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Katie
quick
Martin. Oh, I'm so sorry. Katie Martin, if you're still here, you asked, will there be a student video created that explains the process of how to navigate? As of right now, I'm wondering if Flipgrid has that. I don't have one personally. Normally, I do this live with my students, of course. And so I haven't made one yet, but I'm sure YouTube will have one. And there's other resources out there.
My question is how user-friendly do you think this will be for kinder and first grade?
Oh man, I have never worked with that age group at all in my life. From what I hear of other people online, there don't seem to be many issues with it. However, that's at different parts of the country. And of course, everyone has different levels of technology. So I can't give you a really solid answer. The only thing I could say is you can try it and see what problems arise. And if it's too much, maybe this is not the time to use it.
Do you think as a teacher, I could just use it to read stories to my students?
I absolutely do that as well. I've been doing all my Corona 19 updates to my students, telling them my expectations of them. I've been doing all of mine through Flipgrid. So it absolutely does not have to be an assignment with your students. You can use it in other ways.
Currently, we're using Class Dojo, which seems to be very user-friendly for them.
Right.
But I'm not sure that the video allows you a long enough period to read a story.
I agree.
Beverly, so I would record it in Flipgrid and then just get the shareable link and paste it in your Class Dojo, and then probably they're going to be able to see it, and you're going to have 10 minutes to do that.
Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you.
There was another question I heard. Can you say your question again, please?
Oh, it was Rebecca, and I was just saying I logged out and back in, and then it didn't. I still don't have a chat, so I don't know.
I don't know either, Rebecca. Oh man, I wish I could help out.
It's okay. We'll
Rebecca, did you click on participants? The people person button?
Oh wait, there it just popped up right now.
Yeah, if you hover in the middle of your screen, you'll get that taskbar. Click on participants and then click on conversation. The talking bubble. The talking.
Well, the chat bar just popped up, so that's what I was looking for, I think.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and we'll repost
Rebecca,
that.
I'm pasting the link to the attendance right now in the chat. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
And then Victor, thank you so much for sharing those resources with us. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording just so that this video doesn't go on forever. But Diana and I will be hanging out. I myself am absolutely hanging out until all your questions are answered. If you don't have any questions, have a wonderful day.